Hello again. In this video, I'm doing a reaction video to something I saw online here about throwing a proper jab. And I'm going to play the video in just a second here. But this is a comment that I've made before on other YouTube videos. And again, this kind of proves what I've been saying in other videos. That I've said before, boxers, professional boxers, throw really, really bad punches. And they think that they have really good punching technique, but oftentimes they don't. Their punching technique is not only bad, but it would lead to injuries if they were actually punching the way we punch, which is bare-fisted and with no taped wrists. So when you're in a real-world situation on the street and you get into a fight, you aren't wearing thick, padded boxing gloves, and you don't have like 100 meters of tape wrapped around your wrist to the point where it's completely immobilized, almost like your arm is in a cast, basically. That's how much tape they put around their wrist. It's almost like having your hand or your arm in a cast. So you cannot move your wrist when you're a boxer. And that lets them get away with horrible, horrible punching technique that if you were to do that on the street in the real world with bare fists and no wrist tape, you would break your wrist or break your hand very, very quickly. So that is terrible punching technique. And I'm going to show you an example of it from one of the very best boxers of his era, somebody that I'm a big fan of, and that's Lennox Lewis. So take a look at this video here.
All right, I gotta bring you through the jab. This is a correct way to throw the jab because you know I throw the best jab out there. The main thing is make sure you're balanced on both feet, hands up, elbows in. A lot of people box with their elbows like this. No, elbows in because for the body shot. And it really comes like this, just straight out, and as it comes out, it turns. Bam! Straight back. Straight to the chin. When it's coming out, make sure your shoulder hits your chin so it protects you. Bam! Straight back. And turn it as it's coming out. Turn slightly. Bam! So you hit with all four knuckles right here.
No, absolutely not. See, this is the kind of mistake that you can get away with when you're wearing boxing gloves and when you have taped wrists. You never punch with all four knuckles on your fist. First of all, you can't punch with all four knuckles because if you look at the shape of your fist, you can see that you will never be able to hit with all four knuckles simultaneously. The knuckles are not of the same size and of the same shape. Your fist does not make a square. Your fist is round at the end. So you'll never be able to hit with all four knuckles. Even if you try, you can't hit with all four knuckles on your fist. Second of all, the first two knuckles on your fist are significantly larger and stronger than the last two knuckles over here. When people break their hand in a fight, it's almost always because they're hitting with the weak side of the fist. So if you punch somebody and you catch them with the smaller two knuckles on the fist, you are going to break your hand. I mean, you are going to get injured. These two bones are significantly weaker than the first two bones here for the first two knuckles. So the proper way to throw a punch is what you see in the traditional martial arts, which have been around longer than boxing has been around. We're talking thousands of years, okay? Boxing is a few hundred years old, okay? If you want to go back, I mean, yes, there's other forms of combat that date back longer than that, but this Marquis of Queensberry rules boxing dates back a couple of centuries. Martial arts go back for millennia, and they figured out very, very quickly that the proper way to throw a punch is to hit with the first two knuckles of the fist. Everything has to be perfectly aligned, perfectly straight, and when you throw a punch, you've got to land with those first two knuckles. If you hit with center on the fist or you go to the weak side of the fist, you are going to hurt yourself and you'll take yourself out of the fight real quick. So you look at this here. Here's an example of a video that's going to get millions of views online just because it's coming from a celebrity. And we see this time and time again. Someone like me puts out a video that is the truth and accurate. Everything I'm saying is correct, but nobody will ever see it because I'm an unknown. So nobody believes what I say. I'm an unknown. Nobody cares. When it's coming from a celebrity, somebody in a sport at a high level, everybody believes implicitly everything that they say. But if you look at this here, again, just going back to the beginning of what he's showing.
Main thing is, make sure you're balanced on both feet, hands up, elbows in. A lot of people box with their elbows like this. No, elbows in.
So again, that's good advice. Of course, you don't want to get caught in the ribs. But look at the way that he's standing there. Again, this is a typical, boxer's guard. Everything from here down is completely wide open. So in the sport of boxing, yes, it makes sense to have your hands up high, just like that, to protect yourself. Because nobody can hit you below the belt. And you don't have to defend against kicks. You've got nothing else coming at you except punches. Punches that are waist and higher from there. So that makes perfect sense to have a guard like that. If you do something like that in a street fight, somebody's just going to take your legs out from underneath you. You're wide open to the body there. I can drive through that with roundhouse kicks, side kicks, front kicks, anything. I could drop somebody like that if they're going to be that wide open down low. So if you're in a real fight in the real world, you can't stand like that with your hands way up here. You're just going to get wiped out with low attacks. So this boxer's guard works great for boxing, but on the street, you've got to have a different guard. And that's where you see stances like the knife hand guarding block in Taekwondo, for example, where you've got a hand covering down here, protecting this vital area. You've got to have something protecting your groin area when you're fighting because there's no rules on the street. And if you stand like that, I come along and clean you out with one shot down low, and that's the end of your day, as simple as that. So, again, for boxing, fine. For real world, no, absolutely not.
And it rarely comes like this, just straight out, and as it comes out, it turns. Bam! Straight.
But again, the twisting, that's correct. Yes, we twist the fist as we come out and we retract it. So yeah, absolutely. But punching with the largest two knuckles, not punching with all four. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to start doing more reaction videos and start calling this stuff out when I see it. Like I said, my channel gets almost no views. Maybe I'd be lucky if I get 100 views on this video. But it doesn't change the fact that what I'm telling you is the truth. And if you want to see what I can do to a heavy bag or what I can do to some of these targets, I'd be happy to show you in future videos. Like I said, I know how to punch correctly and I know how to punch without getting injured. And I guarantee you these boxers take the gloves off, untape their wrists, and let's see what they can do on a heavy bag. And let's see how many of those punches they can do on a heavy bag without getting injured. That's what I'd like to see. So, till next time, thanks for watching. Bye.